My current project, Homelight, aims to examine emotional ties with place through encounters with light and shadow. Specifically, the work is an in-depth view of my own home, predicated on the idea that our experiences of home are particularly strong, and that photography is one way we can attempt to capture these emotions and share them with others. As Bachelard notes, memories of the outside world will never have the same tonal quality as those of home, and it is this tonal quality I've been trying to capture, and the continuing intent of the project is to encourage audiences to experience the photographer's relationship with home, and in turn consider their relationships with their own homes. Other works on the same theme of home have informed this project, including the recent Magnum project, Home. 16 photographers took part, exploring their ideas of home, and a few stood out in particular. Mark Power's documenting of the effects of a child leaving home for the first time gives an insight into the strong parent-child bond. And Olivia Arthur's family portrait in the lead-up to the birth of her second child speaks of serenity in preparation for the event. Interestingly, a large number of the Magnum photographers chose to photograph people within their interpretations, equating home with family. Though people are an important part of my home, I was keener to explore the space and objects within the home instead. Inspired by writers such as Gaston Bachelard and Junichiro Tanizaki, I wanted to capture space, objects, light and shadow for an audience interested in our relationship with the world around us. Having decided that my previous module's work with black and white film was lacking in emotional depth, as discussed in my CRJ, I began this new work by photographing my home digitally, allowing me to experiment faster and get more feedback from tutors and peers than before. This initial work had a dreamy use of light, referencing works by those such as Rinko Kawauchi. I found this was creating a strong sense of atmosphere within the images, but personally felt something was lacking aesthetically. The real breakthrough, in terms of production methods, came when prompted by a course activity to use a new method of image making. I chose a homemade pinhole camera, capturing directly onto photographic paper. And the contrast, tone, depth, and truth of the images astounded me. They really spoke of the elements and emotions of home that I wanted to capture, and when asked for critical feedback, they importantly spoke to other people. As pinhole photographer Justin Quinnell puts it, pinhole photography is exploring a world beyond the limitations of the human eye, making it a strong strategy for work such as this. His work, and that of other pinhole photographers such as John Grepstad, encouraged me to explore the medium further. The simple purity of the pinhole camera, combined with the fact that during its long exposure it becomes a part of the house, means that the images produced are not just of the home, but are in part created by it. As I created more pinhole images, they began to shape the direction of the project and its aesthetic, and in return the project demanded that, alongside pinholes, I develop another, slightly faster production method that allowed for more detailed images. This new method used the Polaroid back of a medium format camera to hold the photographic paper, allowing more control in framing and focusing and faster exposure times. Each print was immediately developed in the home, and I began to use direct positive paper in order to get immediate positive prints, choosing to continue working in black and white to explore the tonal range of light and shadows. This new production strategy helped strengthen the relationship between the physical images produced and their subject, the home. The new method also heightened the importance of light and shadow in the series, influenced by practitioners such as Ajay, Brassai, Arthur Tress, and others. Their use of contrast creates atmosphere and helps create a multi-dimensional image by hinting at unseen things. Japanese writer Junichiro Tanizaki believed that there is an uncanny silence of dark places, and that they can pull people in and create not only a sense of mystery and intrigue, but also one of peace. As Tanizaki says, when viewing shadows, we are overcome with the feeling that in this small corner of the atmosphere there reigns complete and utter silence, that here in the darkness immutable tranquility holds sway. By focusing on the tranquility of shadows, this project aims to still the scene, focus the audience's mind, and draw them into the image and its narrative. Other artists have used shadows to great effect in terms of creating narrative and intrigue in their images. Gregory Crewdson's Twilight series is a strong example of the use of light and dark within an image. Edward Hopper does this with his paintings. And artists have, of course, been applying the ideas of chiaroscuro, the use of strong contrast between dark and light, to their work for centuries. By shooting straight to a print, and removing the stage of a negative, this work recalls and references different types of photography that do not lend themselves to multiple prints being made, such as cyanotypes and analog Polaroids. Like home light, these methods create photographs which are important as objects. The philosopher Willem Flusser suggested that because most photographs are copies, they've lost their value as objects. Rather, he posits, their value lies in the information contained in them. I would argue that by creating unique prints without a negative, this project is imbuing the images with value as objects, in addition to their information value. Seeing these images in a gallery, and knowing that they are originals, made in the space they depict, unique in their physicality, adds greatly to the experience of the images by increasing their object value. I myself experienced this with Dido Moriyama's Polaroids, seen at Photo London this year. Knowing that the physical objects in front of me came directly from the camera at the moment of capture, the decisive moment, enhanced my experience of them, feeling closer to the moment of inspiration, the subject, and the photographer. Moriyama, who actually dedicated an entire exhibition to the death of the Polaroid, said of the medium, "There was nothing more exciting for me than taking Polaroid pictures." And that excitement and feeling of instantaneous fulfillment really comes through when viewing Polaroids. For this reason, artists such as Wim Wenders and Dwayne Hansen often make overt references to the fact that the images in their exhibitions are Polaroids and are unique. As Charlotte Cotton suggests, making active choices in terms of the strategies we employ when photographing is tied to an enhanced appreciation of the materiality and objecthood of the medium. This understanding of the object value of my images has influenced my ideas about how to hold an exhibition of the series, and I would certainly include knowledge of the production methods in the exhibition notes. Being unable to mount a physical exhibition, I've planned a theoretical exhibition of the series. Rather than setting the work in a plain white cube such as this, I wanted to follow in the footsteps of installation art, in which the entire space is treated as a single situation into which the viewer enters. If it were possible, I'd mount the exhibition in the home the images were taken in, as they feel like they belong to the home and to the space. However, that being impractical, I would try to activate the viewer's experience of home more by creating a home-like room, though clearly still an exhibition space. This idea is influenced by Carrie Thompson's Notes from My Therapist, in which she built a replica of her therapist's waiting room and invited exhibition goers to sit in it and view the work in photo books. To this end, I've created a basic exhibition plan, including a few pieces of furniture from home, projectors casting windows onto walls, and the photographs simply mounted on boards. Not using frames allows the works to connect better with each other and avoid becoming self-contained entities, as O'Doherty would put it. In terms of an online exhibition, I initially considered trying to replicate virtually the experience of walking through a house, but this became complex and began to overshadow the work itself. Instead, I decided to maintain simplicity, but also highlight the strategies of production that have influenced the project by including a small amount of text. There is no other text, as the rest is left open to the viewer. The viewer clicks through the gallery, each image appearing on the screen until the viewer clicks again. The simple white border and lack of text focuses the viewer on the images, and they can continue clicking as long as they wish. The order is the same as for the publication. In addition to a theoretical exhibition and a real online gallery of the work, I also created a publication dummy to allow the project to extend beyond its reach within a gallery. The work could now be a conversation with another home, and would aim to prompt the reader to explore their own home in a similar way. I determined that the book should reference homemade objects by being simplistic and almost scrapbook-like, rather than a glossy fine art book. The paper should be thick in order to reference archival paper and the act of keeping or capturing something for the future. Each image requires space to be absorbed, so needs either its own spread or at least its own page. To make the book accessible, it should be small and simply bound. This would also help to keep the price down, making the book more affordable, in the way Hoxton Mini Press does with its publications. The aim of the book is to represent the intent of the work in an alternative setting. As Coburg suggests, a photo book is a specific object that aims to include everything the photographer wanted to. By maintaining simplicity, but also hinting towards home through a slight scrapbook quality to the cover, the book allows the work to speak of emotional intimacy with a space, hopefully succeeding in the project's intent, alongside the online gallery and theoretical exhibition. Thank you for watching.